Hello everyone, I'm Leilani Lopez, the author of The Devil's Heir, a young adult paranormal romance that is coming out October 24th, 2019 on Amazon, and today we're going to be reading Chapter 1. So I apologize in advance. I'm actually going to be reading it off of my computer screen because this is the most updated version I have, and I have some sticky notes and stuff in the book anyway, so I don't want to stumble over anything. So if you want access to Chapter 1, all you have to do is sign up to my newsletter on my website, which is just leilanilopez.com, to get access to the members page, and then you're going to find a PDF of the chapter. So I guess let's get started. It's kind of weird. I don't usually read out loud in front of my camera, so I'm going to try not to stumble or get cotton mouth or anything like that. So got my starbs. Let's go. Okay. Chapter 1. Introducing myself as the girl whose guardian was murdered is not the best way to make a good first impression. But the bright blue eyes attached to the petite blonde girl standing in front of me don't give me a chance to back down. I take a deep breath in, firmly grasp the hand extended to me, and offer the simplest answer possible. Calla Jones. Daisy, she says with enough enthusiasm to intimidate me. Welcome to Diablo. Standing on the steps leading up to Diablo High, I lean left and right to keep from being touched by the hordes of students entering the school. I've done my best to avoid the large statue of a caricature of the devil with a pitchfork and horns since pulling up to the campus, but am forced to glance up when Daisy motions towards it. If grandmother were still alive, she would be horrified at my enrollment here. Not only is Diablo High a public, non-religious school with no uniforms, but the mascot is the devil. The actual devil. I guarantee she's rolling in her grave. I tug on the cuff of my long-sleeve shirt, the simple cotton shirt unfamiliar to me. So where's your mom? The girl asks. I'm supposed to bring you two to the front office. I recognize the footsteps coming up behind me, and I'm grateful I don't have to answer the question. The most beautiful woman I've ever met takes her place by my side. My grandmother never spoke of Aunt Polly in my 17 years with her. But Polly didn't even blink when she rushed into the police station and saw me covered in her own mother's blood. Instead, she became my savior. Wow, Daisy says. You two are identical. I'm taken back. Yes, we have the same dark hair and the same lifeless eyes, but Aunt Polly radiates beauty, an attribute I'd never consider for myself. This is my Aunt Polly, I say when she doesn't bother to introduce herself. Daisy reaches out to shake my aunt's hand. Daisy Winthrop, great to meet you. Aunt Polly glares at the hand like it's offending her. Daisy and Calla. Cute. I thought the same. Come on, let's get this over with. Aunt Polly's long legs easily step around the girl, and I dutifully follow. Wait, I'm supposed to show you. We'll manage. I give Daisy a timid wave and walk behind my aunt. The hallways are identical to those at St. John's Catholic School for Girls. Nothing like I'd hoped they'd be. The only stark reminder of my new beginning are the boys lining up against the lockers, chatting with their female classmates. I wasn't allowed to talk to boys. Hey, teenage boy, Aunt Polly snaps to someone. Where's the office? Said guy gawks at my aunt and points a shaking finger down the hall. Around the corner to the left. She stalks onwards while I lift a hesitant hand in thanks. The office door is covered with a wild variety of colored flyers and announcement papers ranging from tutor sessions to the upcoming anniversary of Diablo. Aunt Polly pushes the door to the small office, and it parts like Moses and the Red Sea. The elderly woman jumps in her seat. The papers in her hands fly upwards, and she struggles to collect them. Oh, I'm so sorry. How may I help you, ladies? Yeah. Aunt Polly moves across the room to lean against the countertop. Listen, I need to enroll my daughter in your school. My spine tenses. I'm no one's daughter anymore. I'm Mrs. Henson, the secretary here at Diablo High. She reaches out to shake my aunt's hand before gingerly retreating when it isn't reciprocated. Do you have the proper paperwork to get you started? I was told they'd be sent over days ago. You know what? The woman touched a finger to her chin and thought, I do believe some paperwork was sent over for a transfer. Name, please? Calla Jones. Jones, 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 she chants as she sifts through some of the paperwork in a nearby drawer. She pulls out a file and then slouches in her seat. Oh, honey, we're not here to talk about it, my aunt says. Mrs. Henson shakes her head and places the file on her desk. Of course not, Miss Jones, of course. I promise Calla will have a great time here in Diablo. So when can she start? She shuffles through the few papers in the file. Looks like we're still waiting for a proper transcript. As soon as that comes in, we'll be able to place Calla in the appropriate classes to ensure all her credits transfer. Right, so when will that be? Listen, I was told by the counselors that everything was going to be handled and I didn't have anything to worry about. Looks like the transcript was sent over 2 days ago, so hopefully in the next day or so. I'll be sure to rush together her schedule and we'll give you a call as soon as it's ready. Are there any electives that you'd like to enroll in? I'm afraid that most of the good ones are already filled since the semester started a few weeks ago, but if you're lucky, maybe someone dropped out. I shrink under the weight of the two women staring at me. I don't know. Well, what were you doing at your old school? I'm sure we have something close to it. Aunt Polly intervenes. Art, track, dance, fucking archery. Mrs. Henson's eyebrows raise. I didn't take electives, only the PE requirement. The receptionist gives me a sympathetic smile. Well, I highly recommend art. I find it to be my favorite way of expressing myself, and there's still some room in Art 1. You'll be the only senior, but that's not a problem. Great, thanks. Aunt Polly pivots towards the door. You have our number. Mrs. Henson whispers, God bless you, on my way out, and I wish she didn't. It reminds me of all the times the churchgoers spoke it behind my back in pity, but never bothered to intervene because they were afraid of my grandmother. I spend the rest of my day unpacking what few things I have into my new bedroom, while Aunt Polly runs to the grocery store to pick up some food for the next couple days. As I sift through the single bag of clothes I brought, it reminds me of how little 17 years means to me. My school told me what to wear Monday through Friday. The only nice clothes I was allowed were the long skirt and button-up blouse I wore to church every single Sunday. It didn't matter if I'd fallen ill or if I simply didn't feel like going. I never had an option. We sat in the back corner, and grandmother spoke to no one. All the other families in church were warm with each other. They'd often ask each other if there was anything they could offer a prayer for. Once, another older woman made the mistake of asking my grandmother the same question. I'll never forget when my grandmother told her she would like the woman to pray for her own safety should she ever approach us again. No one ever spoke to or prayed for us again, and we attended the same church for over 17 years. If I ever see another plaid skirt again, I think I might throw up. Now, the only things hanging in my closet are long-sleeve black shirts and a jacket. The jacket is the only thing I brought with me from my grandmother's house. The shirts are from my aunt after she realized I had no street clothes to wear. Aunt Polly calls out my name from the kitchen where she unloads the contents of her trip. Her sleeves are rolled up and her off-the-shoulder top makes her seem like she's hardly wearing a shirt at all. She's treating us to a homemade meal rather than takeout for the first time since we were thrown into each other's lives. Okay, so I'm thinking fettuccine noodles with chicken parm on top. Sound good? The school and my grandmother were terrible cooks, so anything she says sounds amazing. I nod. Cooking is my favorite art form, she says. Grandmother didn't really encourage anything besides studying. Aunt Polly grimaces. As long as you don't bust out into prayer, we'll be okay. I simply nod. While my faith in God is not gone, the daily ritual of living under the church is something that I wouldn't mind not visiting for some time. Anyways, after dinner there's a little errand I'd like to run. Will you be okay by yourself? It's when I'm most comfortable. Yes. Aunt Polly is a traveling writer by profession. Our first stop is here in Diablo, Washington, where she plans on covering the town's history. All I care about is being far away from the broken porch of my grandmother's house. 3 days on the road, pumped with antidepressants prescribed by the therapist who signed my release from the station, passed by quickly. When I woke, we passed a sign reading, "Welcome to Diablo," and drove deeper into the forest. My aunt must have called ahead of time because the apartment was already sparsely furnished by the time we arrived. She only left my side when I slept. I'd never experienced a maternal touch before. I've never spoken to anyone as much as I have with my aunt in these last few days alone, and she's slowly making me feel comfortable in my own skin. For the first time, I don't feel like I have to walk on eggshells everywhere I go. Dinner takes a long time to cook because apparently my aunt is a chatty Cathy. She spends an hour cutting, mixing, and tasting, all while telling me about her life on the road. My aunt has lived 100 different lives. I've barely lived even one. I've never been to a school dance. I've never talked to a boy. I've never watched American Horror Story or whatever the show my schoolmates watch on the weekends. The only time I've seen a boy shirtless was on accident because I was walking by the boys' school down the street from us when they were holding soccer practice on the field. I felt so guilty that I looked down the second I saw naked skin. In the few days I've lived with my aunt, I've seen more of her body than my own. She wasn't completely naked, but she likes to walk around the house with underwear and a t-shirt on. Grandmother didn't even allow a mirror in the bathroom because she said it was vain to want to admire yourself. The one time she walked in on me reading a Nancy Drew book a friend of mine had let me borrow in elementary school, she forced me to sit in front of the fire all night long until my skin burned from the heat. She sat in her rocking chair reciting prayers, not allowing either of us to eat or drink water. I never snuck anything home after that day. I was only 10 years old. I can understand why my mother and aunt left home at such an early age. I wish I had their courage. From the stories that my aunt told me, she's all about moving forward. It's why she enjoys freelance writing so much. She has the freedom to decide what stories she wants to pursue, and she only follows the ones she might have a little fun on the way. Aunt Polly's living her best life while I was too afraid to ask my grandmother for a soda because sugar is a gateway drug, and remember where your parents ended up? When I crawl into bed after Aunt Polly left, I let the exhaustion take over my body and allow myself to close my eyes. I chant my new mantra in my head until my subconscious eases towards a sea of calm. I'm free. And that's the end of chapter 1. I hope you guys liked it. Like I said, I don't usually read out loud, so that was kind of interesting for me. So I definitely have a new appreciation towards narrators, audio narrators, which, fun fact, I'm just going to let you guys know now that I am planning on doing an audiobook version of The Devil's Heir. So I'm so excited about that, but that's not going to be a process. I'm not even going to begin that process for quite some time. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. As always, follow me on Instagram because that's where I tell everybody first about things that are going on. So I'll catch you in the next one. Oh, and like I said, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter so you can get the PDF of this first chapter. And as we get a little bit closer to launch date, which again is October 24th, 2019, I will be revealing the next chapter. So I'll see you guys. Bye.